What are you most looking forward to in the new world order of college football? We've discussed a lot of what we're uncomfortable with and why we're uncomfortable with it. But there's sort of this cliche that people just hate change. I don't like change. I don't want things to change. And it's, boxing you in to be, stodgy and old. And we try to avoid that and just, okay, this is the way it's going to be. And we've talked about how we're uncomfortable, and yet I suspect when Saturdays come, I'm going to be all back in the way I have been my entire life. But what are you most looking forward to in conference realignment and NIL and transfer portal and all this crazy stuff that is a lot to digest in a short period of time? What are you most looking forward to?
It's the matchups. It's the idea that we're going to see on a semi-regular basis Ohio State taking on Oregon, Michigan taking on USC, Michigan State taking on Oregon, Georgia taking on Oklahoma, Alabama, maybe taking on Texas. These are the things I'm looking forward to seeing. What I don't want to see, and what I suspect will happen in the SEC, maybe it's just because I have the disdain for the superiority of the SEC, even though they're fantastic. There's no question about it. What I don't want to see from that conference is shying away from the matchup, protecting the matchups so that they only happen in the postseason. I don't want to see them eschew some of those great matchups so that it only happens late.
You mean that the conferences manipulate the scheduling and they don't? I don't think that's going to happen.
How often do you see Georgia and Alabama play in the regular season?
Well, they were in different sides of the conference in the old format, and so
I know.
Yeah, I can't imagine that the TV networks would allow for that. Like, that's what they're in for, is great matchups. And I agree, the week in, week out matchups are going to. It's going to be a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, and as a fan, so to see those matchups on TV and also to see those matchups live, if you want to go to a game, you've never been to a game at Washington, I want to see a game there at some point in my life, and here's an opportunity to go watch Michigan State play at Washington. I've been to Oregon. It was beautiful, beautiful area. Loved it out there. I'd love to see those matchups. Going to play UCLA in the Rose Bowl. I mean, the Rose Bowl is a perfect venue.
Yep.
It's all great.
So the fear I have on the other side of that is that because of the postseason, losing these games doesn't matter. Like, the intensity, you can lose 2 and maybe 3 games depending on your strength of schedule and still go to the postseason. And I think college football had a spectacular regular season. There'll be more good matchups, but there's less at stake in those matchups. I'm hopeful that won't really water down the regular season. There'll still be fun games. I find it hard, and for the traditionalist, and I find it hard to argue that the Michigan-Ohio State game will be as important, because it used to basically, in a traditional sense, these two schools were on a collision course and they were hoping it was for a Big Ten title. It wasn't always the case, but I think that is one of the downsides of all this.
Well, I mean, it's been this way for a long time, though, with that. I mean, ever since they've expanded the Big Ten and when it went to the BCS, things changed, right?
Yep.
So,
but I think this is a pretty rapid and probably the most dramatic change.
Well,
for those that, and look, we got a fan base here that really leaned heavily on that rivalry, and I understand why. But
and it's still a great rivalry. I mean, it just. The prize at the end is different now because you're no longer playing for the Big Ten championship. What you're playing for, the ultimate goal in the end now is a national championship, which should be even better than what it was before, because before it was just beat Ohio State and, okay, then you get to play in the Rose Bowl, right? And, but there wasn't any national champ was voted on. It wasn't played on. So I think it's a big difference because now you tangibly get to play the game.
Yeah, we've watched that slowly get watered down through the years, and I think this is the biggest move to water it down even more. I still suspect it'll be great.
Well,
I just don't think it
the other way. I don't think it waters it down. I think now you get more of a true champion at the end because you're going to have to play a schedule. You're going to have to play real teams in the regular season because we got these mega conferences now, and then when you get to the playoff situation, you're going to have to play, at least 3 playoff games?
That's a different argument. I agree that there are some good.
You're talking about watering it down.
I'm talking about watering down Michigan, Ohio State.
Well, I mean,
exclusively, and that I'm not talking about watering down college football or the champion. I'm just talking about I think Michigan, Ohio State takes on less significance than it has in the past.
Yeah,
but that's important. It's important to the Michigan fan. I don't know how important it is, but it has been important to the Michigan fan. Kang, what are you looking forward to most?
Well, does it water down the Michigan State rivalry?
I don't know. I don't know that as much was on the line historically, but maybe it might. Kang, what are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, of course, like you guys, I'm not in love with all the changes, but if you're forcing me to look forward to something about the new world order of college football, it's probably the playoff system, a real playoff system. Now, we can debate whether it's too many teams, not enough teams, but there is going to be a playoff system this year, and to see how that plays out, because a lot of us are bitching about it, but in the end, these games are one and done. They mean something, and everyone's going to be watching. And that's what they want, because there's so much money involved. So to watch this bracket and do the NFL style, essentially, of a playoff system, that's probably what I'll be, like I said, I may bitch now, but I'm going to be watching for sure later.
So mine is this is personal. It's just because we've done this job forever. The one thing about the New World Order of college football, and we'd get into debates that I got very tired of. I got tired of the same old debate. The players getting paid. Okay, the players can make money now, which I have no issue with them making money. I hated the argument that they weren't, quote, getting anything. That always rubbed me the wrong way, because these tuition checks I'm writing certainly feel like I'm paying for something.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I thought the reward that the players was getting, it might not be the reward that they wanted, but the reward of a college education, I think, that is paid for is pretty valuable. They work for it, and they deserve it. I'm not arguing that, but I'm glad that conversation in the New World Order, we won't have to have that conversation anymore. So I do like that. But I want to ask the fans, what are you most looking forward to in this New World Order of college football?